Wilson, please, veterans issues, anything about tear maps, anything about...
Yes, sir.
Did you make that same speech before county commission?
Yeah, I wish. Well, two of them hurt.
I know, but there's three of them. I hear it.
Yes, sir.
I was veteran just like you are. What are some of the things that you're shooting for to assist the veterans, especially?
Well, apparently, ramming my head against the wall is one of them, because Sonny Minnick, who I took over from Sonny as the chair of the Veterans Caucus, what he told me in his office is Maryland doesn't treat its veterans very well. And I was able to find out very firsthand by a bill that the governor just recently vetoed. It's going to affect possibly a whole bunch of veterans in Pax River. But what I will be trying to do in this next 4 years is obviously the summit would be a tax-free retirement for veterans. And I say that, I know there are people that haven't served, they're like, well, why would we do that? To be very honest, a vast majority of veterans that retire get a job the very next day. And it's a high-paying job. So if we can attract them here, right now there's a lot of people in Fort Meade, they got Pennsylvania and Delaware license plates. And that's where they're driving. If we can make them live here, their spouses have jobs, they buy houses, they've already got that past performance as dedicated citizens. So if we can attract them, we can tax the heck out of them when they get here on their second job. You know, we're Democrats. No, but what we can do is, and it's beyond the thank you. It's something I think that we can do to enrich our community. But in the short-term goal is at least get the tax-free rate. Right now it's $5,000. First $5,000 for veterans retirement is tax-free. We're just trying to bump it up to 10. I thought it was going to happen. Got out of the Senate unanimously. It was killed in Ways and Means again. Didn't even make it to a vote again. So again, these are the issues that I say, if you're interested in veterans issues, when you're voting for other folks, ask them where they were when these issues were coming around. I can't make it out of the door. Yes, I feel that as a young freshman, I have amassed a great deal of power, but not that much. But there are other people, there are governors, lieutenant governors, and there are attorney generals who actually did have the power and chose not to use it. Because these things are important. We have a whole bunch of disabled veterans issues. We have a lot of mentally disabled veterans coming back. Now, I was very successful in setting up a veterans court, which deals solely with veterans issues on the criminal side. But we don't have enough, just in general. When you talk about the gun bill, you talk about all these bills that enhance violent crime penalties. Well, without the mental health resources we have that we need in this state, we're always going to be creating more bills and tougher sentences. Because right now, it is stigmatic to have mental illness. And right now, even if you admit that you have one, there's really no place to go. And we have got to do a better job. You're going to find out, people will find out sooner or later that I voted against that horrific gun bill for the state of Maryland because I don't believe it did anything. We've had 5 people in the letter, 2 people the last 5 years get killed with rifles. They didn't do nothing for the handguns. But another reason I didn't support it is because we're going the wrong way. We need to be starting to focus on the mental issues. And that ties and coalesces with our veterans issues because a lot of folks are returning from combat much different than they left. And we owe them a duty to make them whole, or at least make them better. So those are the main issues I'm going to be focusing on: retirement and disabled mental health issues. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I failed to remember to announce that you're being recorded.
Well, I figured she wasn't just taking pictures.
But I have to remember the state of the world and I have to announce that, so I apologize.
Well, the law's not that strong. We're in a public setting. I don't have an expectation of privacy here. I really don't. If somebody's pulling out their camcorder, that's kind of what happens. If I'm on the phone with you and you're recording, or you got a buddy listening in, well, now you violated the law. But this right here, if you're running for office, if you're in office, suck it up and get used to it. Everywhere I go, I know I'm being recorded. You'll be recorded. You might be disappointed with some stuff that you hear come out of his mouth. I'm in a bad mood, but I know it's coming out because I said it. So, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There's a bill. It's for offered to veterans. It's for first-time homeowners. Offered 3.5% for new-coming veterans, but it's going to expire at the end of this month. It came out pretty fast. This was so I don't have the flyer, but I did send it to Holland.
I have Ed, please send it to me as soon as you can. I don't know what we can do about that because we're out of session until January.
Right, but it happened. Well, the same point is, if it comes up in session again, it happens so quickly. Getting the word out is one issue, but making sure, because the veteran has to go through a qualification and an 8-hour certification. He's going through, how to buy a house and so on and so on. And we're still trying to get the word out, at least to the faith-based community. That was one area. But what I'm saying is that bill came out so quickly, we have a difficult time getting the word out to veterans. So now it's going to expire at the end of this month. And
It sunsets at the end of this
it
month.
sunsets at the end of this month. 3.5%.
I wish I'd known. I'll look back into that, and that's another very good issue. A lot of times, same with foster kids, there are benefits out there, but people don't know that they have them. And so it is very difficult to get those out. I've been able to do that with foster kids through a mandate. I make the state send each foster kid a birthday card every year now with all the benefits that I've been able to, I've achieved most of them, all the benefits that they receive, so they'll know what their info. For veterans, it's much more difficult. I think I have to reach out to the VFWs and I guess the realtors may be another big, I think that might be the biggest avenue right there, because I think realtors can do a much better job of selling that. That's right down their alley. So surprisingly enough, the realtors like me, so I can reach out and talk to them, because I think that,
Veterans have a problem now, particularly since the economy is sour and lending, have a problem getting in first-time homeowners qualified and so on. So this, we will have to talk about that, because I also want to find a way to pick that back up after the next session, assuming I go back to Annapolis, to make sure it goes back. Now, I'm sure they'll tell me 3.5 might be a little low, but I still think we can work something out. So thank you. Thank you for being a strong voice for us.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Benny and then young man right there. Yes, sir.
Okay, you spoke about there being some problems between the county and the state after some issues that have gone on for the last few years. What do you think the first steps the next group of Charles County Commissioners should take to help mend the fences with the state?
Well, I'll take that. The cool thing is, because we're all politicians, and I think the state is full of professional politicians, I don't think it's such a chasm that can't be bridged or repaired, meaning just going in with good faith. I don't care if it's the same 5. If the people were to go in with good faith, okay, whatever happened, now we're here, I think that we can do that. But the new group coming in, it just needs to be moving in good faith. We don't always have to get along. The thing is, you know this as well as I do. There's no way everybody in this room, I'm not going to make you happy. But I want you to know where I stand. And if I know where you stand, we're going to find a middle line. And we can both walk up to it. That's what we need to be doing as a county, is saying, this is what we really need. Because sometimes you do have to stand fast. You can't capitulate to the state on everything. I don't. In fact, sometimes I'm the only one standing against the governor and everybody. I feel like I'm just weathering the storm, especially when it comes to criminal issues. It'll be me and me alone on the floor just foaming at the mouth. But you know what? I feel that I'm doing the right thing for my county. Because, again, Southern Maryland's needs are different than Northern Maryland. So when they tell us what to do, sometimes we have to push back and say no. But here's why. Because we're Democrats. And you'll always hear me say that. There's nothing wrong with saying no. But because we're Democrats, it has to be followed by a but. If you don't have a but, shh, be quiet. Don't just say no, because we're here to solve a problem. And if you don't have a better solution, it's kind of like the health care. I hear all the rants and raves about the health care. I'm like, well, what's yours? Oh, you don't have one. Okay, so we're going to go with this one. This broke system until you got something better. So for us, we just need to make sure that we come in good faith. And we also, they have to understand we do have needs that they might not understand. But it's our job to explain it, not just to stand there and say, no. So I think that's where the good faith comes in. I think as long as you have that good faith, knowing we have to find that middle ground, we'll be fine. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was concerned. I was talking to somebody yesterday concerning this traffic. I know you said a lot about this traffic.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is there nothing else you could possibly do to help us?
Well, this is what we're going to do. These are some of the goals that I have. Obviously, we talked about light rail. Now, I personally, while it sounds great, it's pretty good to run on. I don't know if I'll be alive when it happens. Well, okay, I'm just saying, I have faith, but I want you to understand that I've watched our governor do this before. Take this and go here and here and here, and the next thing you know, the pea's not under the show we thought it was. Okay, I've watched MoCo go, wait a minute, we want that $18 million. They don't need it, we have more people. So what I'm saying is, there are other alternatives like the rapid bus transit system. We can open up a shoulder going one way each time. But because all I say is I don't like relying on promises because I watched them fail. I know there's some reality, so sometimes you shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you might hit something good. And so that's what I want to make sure. For me, it's going to be the short term is obviously we're still getting more of the buses in for the commuter buses. At some point, we have to increase the Route 3. We need to talk to Prince George's County. That's when people talk about how we're working with Prince George's County. Every time I'm through one with those lights, I don't feel like I'm working with Prince George's County because they have the lights up there by Target. There's no need during rush hour. They need to time those lights better. There are things that can be done in the short. We can widen Route 3 or 5 and make it 3 lanes all the way versus that little bottleneck that we have up there, I guess it's Stratsville. And on 210, what we're doing is we have that Kirby Road overpass that's coming. You'll curse my name for a little while because while there's being an overpass, there's going to probably be some traffic. But the goal is to have those 5 overpasses and have it very much like Route 5. It's where you just go straight through with no lights. And we've got the money for the first one. And part of my vote for the casinos was that every year they have to give me $15 million to upgrade 210. So that's a funding source. So now we can look at what the next overpass is going to be. And I know that a lot of these things aren't in Charles County, but they do affect Charles County citizens. So the goal is, as far as that traffic, is to expedite that. A malfunction junction up there, right on after 301-5 split, that's supposed to be starting the repairs next year. Again, these are promises. I know they're not by hand, they're two in the bush, but I'm going on the words of these individuals. Yes, Mr.
I just want to say, in regards to the rail, it's really not the state, it's the county. For 20 years, rail has been the 3rd priority. So in 2010, it became the top priority.
Right.
Which is fabulous.
Well,
and so what we need is a comprehensive plan that cuts out the sprawl development, transit-oriented development in Waldorf.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest thing we can do, and work with Prince George's County. But the problem with Prince George's County is that casino is demanding those upgrades for 210, which basically the top priority should have been the light rail.
Well, the thing about now, the other side of the light rail is just truthfully is even the state, the county definitely doesn't have the money. The state doesn't have the money either. So it's federal money. Now, if Montgomery County hears word that we're going to speak in $2 billion,
we need our money.
I don't disagree, but there's only 9 delegates down here. There's 27 of them in Montgomery County. And I'm just telling you, I'm not saying it's impossible, but pragmatically, I've seen it happen. I watch it happen. I've tried to be that voice. However, when again, yes, and the governor will go where he needs to go, where he thinks he can get the most support.
But look at the problem we're having.
Oh, no.
The comprehensive plan. Basically, we're fighting the same land speculators we've been fighting.
Well, the thing is, I don't think, are we good now, Commissioner? We got the count.
I think we should wait to hear from Mr. Joseph.
We're well on our way. I'm saying, well, once we have our comprehensive plan, I still believe we have to depend heavily on the feds and the state in order to get where we need to go. So my concern was, do we have some short-term plans as well? Because I want to hinge all my bets on something that they could just, at the last minute, say, yoink, we're going to Montgomery County because they want a light paint line. And the next thing you know, yes?
I think I can probably address this. And I think it's, excuse me, if I put my answer. But here's the way this works, at least from our perspective. We supported the transportation tax. I know I supported it. I served on the Governor's Blue Ribbon Commission. And we did that as a board because we knew we needed to give our delegation the cover and the support they needed to support it. Where we failed is when you put together and you push for a land use plan that is inconsistent with upgrading transportation, these initiatives, then of course you're not going to get the kind of funding that you would like to receive. But there are a couple of things that have to happen first. Tiger funds from the federal government are really the most critical piece in this, and we've seen the federal government not be able to come to terms with that. I believe most recently some of that money is going to be becoming available. There's a lot of study. One of the things in terms of bus rapid transit versus light rail, the difference in cost between bus rapid transit and light rail is very small. It's about $250,000, or is it $4 million? But at any rate, no, I'm just kidding. But it's such an insignificant difference that you wouldn't want to waste your time with bus rapid transit. You want to move right to the light rail. We tried I worked with Prince George's County to see if we couldn't get a dedicated bus lane, Because of the very issues that you're mentioning, it just isn't feasible at this time. So for the time being, Charles County is really, we get the highest amount of commuter bus service in the state. So we are really going to be very dependent upon the commuter bus system, and we want to see that improved. We want to see that constantly revisited. That is managed through the Tri-County Council. And in so doing, we want to make sure that if you're standing on this corner, you're not left there as 3 and 4 buses go by while buses are empty on other. So there's this need to constantly revisit that. And so as we continue to develop the work and put in place land use plans and sub-area plans, if you will, the TOD up in Waldorf as well as the work, do that in a way that is sincere, where we're committed, and Charles County government has committed a very strong amount of funding to that, along with, believe it or not, we worked with Prince George's County, and they are supporting our giving us funding towards these initial studies. So we're doing everything we can, but you make a very good point. Any kind of land use planning, and I'm sure we're going to hear this from Mr. Richard, is futuristic. What you do today, you may never live to see, but if you don't do it today, it will never happen.
Yeah, that's what's totally true.
And so, to your point, I think one of the things that has to happen is we as a Board of Commissioners need to be working very closely with our delegation, and even off-season. You know, you can't wait until we're here, we're there, we're ready to start. We've got to be working in between. But I have to tell you, I'm not Pollyanna, but I'm optimistic that we're doing the right things in terms of getting the work in place, working with the state on our mass transit. As Ms. Vick said, we've now made it a priority, which it hadn't been before. Here's where we've got to be careful. We have to do our land use planning in a way that makes sense. Because it's not just about the Maryland Department of Planning. This is also about education. Our ability, we've been told in writing, if we do not engage in the kind of proper land use planning that prevents sprawl, we're going to see challenges and reductions in our school funding. They're not going to fund construction of schools when they see that we're putting kids all over the place. So that's it. Thank you.
One more question for the delegate, because hold on a second. I apologize to Mr. Covington. I did tell him to be here at 11:30, so I get confused sometimes with my various groups that I got going on. But yeah, for this one, I did tell you to be here at 11:30, so I apologize for that. So we got to keep ready to
Yes, sir.
Just to comment on a question you asked, are we good now on the comprehensive plan? And we are on our way towards being good. And there's one reason we are, and that's because of the vigilance of our citizenry. Yes. And I know that you two supported where we were headed.
And that, I just want to let y'all know, just as I walk off, that that's another reason I love coming to these events, because you can make a difference. Just because it looks like the ship is sailing that direction, that doesn't mean it's got to leave now, and it doesn't mean it has to leave in that direction. Sometimes you have to stomp your feet and yell, and remind folks, hey, we put you here. You don't have to threaten to take them out, because that's not the point. It's not about the next election. It's about now. See, that's my hardest transition, is because I'm still a delegate. So I don't really, the whole making promises thing, I'm like, no, I'm here to work. My job is to get you guys to do what we need to do. So it's very hard for me to make that transition. You don't have to threaten with the next election, because they're here for you now. They serve you now, and you've proven that time and time again. We swung it really hard. You tried with the liquor store. That's okay. And I hate to say this, but what you got done is set a great example for what we should never do here. I appreciate that, and I know that it's small solace to y'all. However, for the county, it was a huge benefit, because you reminded folks, pay attention. This is you next. And we couldn't catch it. We tried. I tried. Wow, we tried. But it's not over. The fight's never over. I think I got to go.
Okay, man, I'm squeeze in. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. One of the things I think is there are three delegates representing us in our policy, like yourself. You guys have done a great job. But I know your voice has not been heard, maybe because they think our county, we don't have the population to move vote, so they're not moving as fast as they should. Because I believe if this was in George County, they'll probably move faster. Right. Do you think it will help in pushing some of these programs, not some of these plans on the floor? Do you think it will help for us to shuttle some of our concerned citizens over there for the state to actually hear as a means of support?
It helps us, but again, this is where I have to just be as pragmatic as possible. Not really, because at the end of the day, we're still 3 votes in Charles County. And that's what they're going to look at, because there's 141 people on the floor, 140 including the speaker. and they need to get bills passed. The governor's going to lean towards who has the most votes, which is Baltimore City, Prince George's County, and Montgomery County. Now, one thing we can do, though, and that's why you don't need to come when you come visit, is we can raise hell on the floor. And that's what I've been notorious for doing my first 4 years. And people got on me like, oh, you got to learn to work with people. I don't say you don't work with people, but you make them do the right thing. Our job is to make bad bills good and good bills better. Don't just sit there and be quiet. Don't just hit your red button. Stand up. Because sometimes I found out a lot of folks just don't read the bills. Some of them, I don't believe they could if they wanted to. So but when you stand and you explain it to them, that a shall is much different than a may. And you explain it because the comma's here, it changes the whole voice of the bill, or as I always say, the part in the middle that nobody reads. When you do that, it's not a disruption. To me, it betters us as a state, but it also shows don't overlook Charles County, because we're 3 people